Today we are going to talk about bread making. Everyone I know is so scared of making bread at home, and at the same time, and rightly so, don't want to consume what you get outside because it's just filled with all the things that you don't want to eat. So making bread at home is really so easy. Just a handful of ingredients, the best quality yeast. And now let's talk about yeast. This is the main ingredient for bread making. The good quality yeast that you can buy comes in a 500 grams or 1 kg packaging, which can very well be stored in your freezer for up to 2 years. Let's begin with the first step of bread making, that is proofing the yeast. With this step, we'll get to know if the yeast is active or not. That means if the yeast is working or not before adding it to the main dough. So if this ferments and if this starts bubbling up, that's when we know that the yeast is good and you're ready to go and begin your process. So I have some lukewarm water right here, to which I'll add some sugar. As I said, sugar being the food for yeast is what activates it and starts frothing it up. And then the yeast here. We stir this and let it sit in a warm place for about 5 to 10 minutes, and that's when you'll see it bubbling up and getting all frothy. If it remains the same way after 10 minutes as well, that means that the yeast isn't active, the yeast has died, and you'll have to start your process all over again with a new batch of yeast. Now the yeast has been frothing away for the last 10 minutes, and you can see how it has nicely bubbled up and frothed, and we know that this is good to use. So we will proceed with the next step. Here I have atta, as I said, in 50% and 50% of maida for that texture. And to this now we add salt. Also make sure that the salt doesn't touch the yeast, because salt makes the yeast die. So make sure that you're not adding salt in the first step while we are frothing the yeast. Here, as I said, I'm using my stand mixer, but please feel free to just use a wide bowl. It will work just as well. And then you start kneading. When the dough starts sort of coming together is when we'll add a little bit of oil to this. Make sure you are using a neutral flavored oil and not something which will overpower the taste of the bread. Now you might see that the dough, when you're mixing with your hands, when you're kneading with your hands, you might notice that the dough is getting a little bit sticky. Don't be tempted to add any more flour to this at that point. The kneading process takes about 15 minutes. In that time, the gluten from the flour will start activating, and that is what will absorb all the moisture and make the bread soft, will make the dough soft and nice. Just keep going at it, and I assure you the dough will start getting soft and all the moisture will start getting absorbed by it. This takes about 15 minutes. Once the dough is done kneading, it is time for the first proofing. Don't worry if you feel the dough to be a little stickier than the regular dough. It's totally fine. Don't add more flour at this point. Just add a little bit of oil, coat the entire dough ball, and let it sit to proof. Now, if it is cold where you live, then a way to proof your dough is to heat up the oven. Make it warm, not very hot. And once the oven is warm, turn it off and let this bowl of dough sit in the oven for 30 to 45 minutes to provide a nice warm environment for the dough to proof. Now the dough is done with its first proofing. So we will deflate the dough. As you can see, it has doubled in volume. So once we punch it down, it will return to its original volume. Deflate it and slightly knead it. No need of going all in for a full-blown knead right now. Just mix it together and turn it out onto your platform. Today I have been requested to make garlic bread, so that's what I'm making. But if you prefer to make a loaf of bread, you can shape it into that, or rolls or pav, whatever you wish to, it can turn into that. So I am now shaping this into garlic bread sticks. So I take a portion of the dough, roll it out into a thick paratha using maize flour or corn atta. This is not cornstarch or corn flour, this is maize flour or corn atta. Load it on heavily onto the dough. This is what makes your garlic bread crispy. It's not for regular bread, this is just for garlic bread or even pizza, but not for a loaf of bread or regular bread. I cut this into half circles and then score it into sticks. Don't cut all the way through, just score it into sticks, lay it on a baking sheet, and then we get this ready for its second proofing. Dough has now fermented, and as you can see, it has doubled in volume, and now it is ready for the baking. I have preheated the oven to the maximum temperature, so 200 degrees, 220, whatever your oven goes to, and then we will keep this in. Now this is just for garlic bread, that we'll keep this in for 5 minutes, get it out, and pour over this garlic butter which I have made. This is melted butter, garlic powder, and some herbs. This is what we will put, will brush on these midway after it has been baking for 5 minutes. So I'll put this in the oven and out in 5 minutes. Brush the bread heavily with the garlic butter, return it to the oven, and once it's nice and golden on both sides, that's when you bring it out and it's ready to eat. As you can see, the top is lightly golden brown, the bottom is a beautiful golden brown, and then when you know it's ready. So now is when the scoring really helps, because you can cut these into sticks very easily and just serve warm alongside some soup or some baked dish, whatever you like. And as you can see, it has beautifully cooked through. It has become soft and nice. It doesn't feel sticky at all, and it has baked perfectly. So please do give this a shot and let me know if you like it. Enjoy!